Okay, so this is part 5 of I'll Give You the Sun by Janie Nelson. And so in the last part, which was still Noah's perspective at age 13 and a half, we were kind of introduced to a new side of Brian. And basically, Brian, there's another side of Brian that's popular, who's the axe. And as Noah starts hanging out more with Brian, he starts changing. And he starts becoming like the popular kids and everything he hates. And when Brian tells Noah to stop worrying, Noah just lets go of his old self and starts acting like someone who he isn't. And he even sabotages Jude when she tries to show her mom her flying women. So we left off at the part where Noah says, I should have been worrying. I should have been worrying a lot. Brian's leaving tomorrow morning to go back to boarding school for the fall, and tonight I'm in the underworld looking for him. I've never been to a party before. I didn't know it was like being miles and miles underground, where demons walk around with their hair on fire. I'm pretty certain no one here can see me. It must be because I'm too young or skinny or something. Courtney's parents are out of town, and she decided we'd use her older sister's party as a going-away bash for Brian. I don't want to be at a going-away party for Brian. I want to be going away with Brian, like on a plane to the Serengeti, to watch the blue wildebeest migrate. I head down a smoky, crowded hall, where everyone's pressed to the wall in clumps like people sculptures. No one's face is arranged right. In the next room, it's their bodies. People are dancing, and after I make sure Brian's not here yet, I lean against the wall and take in the whole mob of sweating, gleaming people with their piercings and plumage and windmilling arms as they jump and sway and spin and lift off into the air. I'm staring and staring, getting eaten by the music, getting new eyes, when I feel a hand, or maybe it's a bird talon, clawing into my shoulder. I turn to see an older girl with tons of springy red hair. She's wearing a short, shimmery brown dress and is way taller than me. Winding around her entire arm is an off-the-hook tattoo of a red and orange fire-breathing dragon. Lost? She asks sadly over the music, like she's talking to a 5-year-old. I guess I'm not invisible after all. Her whole face is sparkling, especially the emerald green wings around her icy blue eyes. Her pupils are huge black caves where bats live. You're so cute, she shouts into my ear. She has a strange accent, kind of like Dracula's, and looks like one of the lady's Klimt paints. Your hair, she pulls one of my curls until it's perfectly straight. I can't look away from her because that's what happens with demons. Such big, dark, soulful eyes. She says slowly in her thick accent, like she's making a meal of each word. The music has quieted down, and thankfully so has her voice. Bet all the little girls are after you. I shake my head. They will be, trust me. She smiles, and there's a gash of red lipstick on one of her fangs. Ever kiss a girl? I shake my head again. I can't seem to lie to her, or break the demon spell in any way. And then with no warning, her crackly lips are pushing against mine, in between mine, and I can taste her, all smoky and gross and kind of too sweet, like an orange that's been in the sun all day. My eyes are open, so I can see the black spidery lashes sleeping on her cheeks. She's really kissing me. Why? She pulls back, opens her eyes, and laughs when she sees the expression on my face. Putting one of her talons on my shoulder again, she leans in and whispers in my ear, "See you in a few years." Then she turns and walks away on long, bare legs, her devil tail swishing back and forth. I watch the fire-breathing dragon tattoo on her arm slither all the way up her shoulder and wrap around her neck. Did that really just happen to me? Did I imagine it? Don't think so, because I certainly wouldn't have picked her if my imagination were in charge. I bring my hand to my mouth and wipe my lips. Red comes off my fingers. Her lipstick. It did happen. Do all people taste like sun-rancid oranges on the inside? Do I? Does Brian? Brian. I start toward the front door. I'll wait for him outside and convince him to go up to the roof instead for this last night, like I wanted to anyway, so all the stars can fall on our heads one final time. So maybe what hasn't happened all summer might finally happen. But as I enter the front hallway, I spot him following Courtney up a staircase. Watch him as he razors through the crowd, nodding his head to guys, returning the smiles of girls, like he belongs. How is it he belongs everywhere? Portrait. The boy with all the keys in the world with all the locks. When he reaches the top of the stairs, he turns around. His hands are on the banister and he's leaning forward, surveying the room. Is he looking for me? Yes, I know he is, and it shapeshifts me into a waterfall. Can you die of this feeling? I'm thinking yes. I can't even draw or paint it out of me anymore. When it comes on, and it comes on all the time now, I just have to lie down on my back and let it wash me away. Courtney tugs on his arm and he slips off behind her without having found me, so I turn back into a person. I squeeze up the steps after them with my head down. I don't want to make eye contact. Don't want anyone talking to me, kissing me. Do people at parties just kiss each other? Just kiss other people for no reason? I know nothing. When I've almost reached the top of the stairs, I feel a hand on my arm. Not again. A small girl who looks like a gothed-out chipmunk hands me a red plastic cup full of beer. Here, she says, smiling. You seem like you need one. I say thanks and continue up. Maybe I do need one. I hear her say, isn't he a little haughty? To someone who replies, cradle robber. God, so much for my secret garage workouts with Dad's weights. Everyone thinks I'm in kindergarten. But am I hot? It's not possible, is it? I always assume girls look at me because they think I'm strange, not because they think I'm cute. Mom tells me I'm so handsome, adorable, gorgeous, but that's her job. How do you know if you're hot? The redhead kissing demon did say my eyes were soulful. Does Brian think I'm hot? The idea goes straight to my groin and jerks me awake. He grabbed my hand under the armrest at the movie. I stop, breathe, try to get it under control. It's not horrible. I continue up the stairs. The second floor is the opposite of the first, as if it's in heaven. I'm standing in a long, white-carpeted, white-walled cloud of hallway with a bunch of closed doors on either side. Which room did Brian and Courtney go into? What if they're already alone? What if they're kissing? Or worse, maybe she already has her shirt off. I take another drink of beer. What if he's licking her boobs? Guys are really into that. He told me not to worry. He told me not to worry. He told me not to worry. Which was code, wasn't it? I take a huge gulp of the beer, worrying real lot. In movies, terrible haywire things happen on people's last night places. I go left down the hall, where it looks like some of the doors might be open a crack. In an alcove, I spot two people in a frenzy of red-hot making out. I slip back to watch. The guy has incredible back that narrows just so into his jeans, and the girl's sandwiched body between his body and the wall. His head's moving like he can't kiss her hard enough or fast enough. I tell myself to move on already, but then something catches my eye. The girl's hands reaching around the guy's back aren't girl's hands at all. No, there's no way in hell those hands are anything but another guy's. My chest starts to vibrate. I lean to the left, and then I see flashes of both faces. Strong bone male faces, like closed moons, smashed noses. I've never seen two guys kiss like this. Like the world's ending, except in my own head, and it wasn't half this good. Not even close. Self-portrait. Earthquake. I step back and steady myself against the wall out of sight. I'm not sad. Far, far from it. So I don't know why tears are bursting out of my eyes. Then I hear the squeak of a door opening on the other side of the wall. I wipe my face with the back of my hand and turn in direction of the sound. Heather stepping out of a room. Everything in me stills. It's horrible to see her, like walking out of the best movie ever into some same old afternoon. Oh, she cries, her face beaming. I was coming to look for you. I give my head a shake so hair curtains my face as much as possible. She's walking toward me, getting closer and closer to the three of us. I kick into gear, rushing to intercept her. Her smile grows bigger and more welcoming, and I realize she's misinterpreted my leap across the hall as excitement to see her, when all I want is to protect the kissing guys from her, from the whole world. Portrait. Adam and Adam in the garden. When I reach her, I try to turn my mouth in a smile. It's hard. I hear a hushed, gruff laugh behind me, muffled words. Heather peers over my shoulder. Where is everyone? I ask, trying to get her attention back. I realize I'm still shaking. I bury my free hand deep into my pocket. You okay? She asks, tilting her head. You seem strange. Her steady gray eyes are studying me. More so than usual, I should say. She smiles warmly, and I relax a little. Heather and I have a secret, but I have no idea what it is. I wish I could tell her what just happened to me, because even though I wasn't technically part of that kiss, I feel like it happened to me, unlike the demon kiss downstairs, which technically happened to me, but feels like it didn't. But what would I tell her anyway? When I drew it, I'm going to make my skin see-through, and what you'll see is that all the animals in the zoo of me have broken out of their cages. Maybe it's the beer, I say. She giggles, lifts a red plastic cup, and taps mine. Me too. Her giggling takes me aback. There's nothing giggly about Heather, usually. She's the opposite. Hanging out with her is like sitting in an empty church. That's why I like her. She's quiet and serious and 1,000 years old, and seems like she can talk to the wind. I always draw her with her arms up like she's about to take flight, or with her hands together like she's praying. She's not a giggler. Come on, she says. Everyone's in here already. She points toward the door. We've been waiting for you. Well, I have. She giggles again, then blushes like a geyser went off inside her. I have a supremely bad feeling. We walk into some kind of den. I see Brian right away across the room talking to Courtney. All I want to do is blink us out of existence, into the bodies of the guys in the alcove. I try to, just in case. Then I think how many fingers I'd give up for 1 minute like that with him, and decide 7, or 8 even. I could totally still draw with 2 fingers if one was a thumb. I look around. It's the same crew of hornets and surf tarts that hang out at the spot, minus the older guys like Fry and Zephyr and Bigfoot, who are probably downstairs. I'm used to these people now. And them me. There's also a bunch of kids I don't recognize that must go to Courtney's private school. Everyone's standing around in awkward shuffling bunches like they're waiting for something. The air is full of breathing. The air is full of Jude, too. She's leaning on a windowsill, talking to like 500 guys at once, wearing the tight red ruffly dress she made that Mom forbade her forever wearing out of the house. I'm totally surprised to see her. She's been giving me a wide, angry berth all summer and knew I'd be here. I wonder what she told Mom. I just said I was going to say goodbye to Brian. We're definitely not allowed to be at a party like this. I catch her eye as Heather and I cross the room. She throws me a look that says, nothing, not even a world where it rains light, where snow is purple, where frogs talk, where sunsets last a full year, could make up for the fact that you're the worst mother-stealing, friend-pillaging twin brother on earth, and resumes her conversation with her harm. My bad feeling is compounding. I turn my attention to Brian, who's leaning against a bookcase, still talking to Courtney. About what? I try to hear as we approach them, but then realize Heather's speaking to me. It's totally stupid. We haven't played this kind of game since 5th grade, but whatever. We're playing with a sense of irony, right? Has she been talking this whole time? What game? I ask. Courtney turns around at the sound of our voices. Oh, good. She nudges Heather, who giggles again. Courtney turns to me. It's your lucky night, Picasso. You like games? Not really, I say. Not at all, actually. You like this one. Promise. It's a blast from the past. Heather and Jude and I were talking the other day about the parties we used to go to. Simple premise. Put 2 people of the opposite sex in a closet for 7 minutes. See what happens. Brian won't meet my eyes. Don't worry, Picasso, she says. It's fixed, of course. Heather's ears go red at this. They lock arms and then burst out laughing. My stomach goes watery. Face it, dude, Courtney says. Courtney says to me, you could use a little help. I sure could. I sure could, because suddenly coils and coils of Jude's hair are slithering in my direction like an army of serpents. Jude was there, Courtney said. Was this Jude's idea then? Because she knows how I threw out that note she left for Mom? Because she knows how I feel about Brian? Portrait, self-portrait. Twins. Jude with rattlesnake hair, Noah with rattlesnake arms. I'm getting a metal taste in my mouth. Brian's reading the titles on the spines of the books on the shelves like he's going to be tested on it. I love you, I say to him, only it comes out, hey. So damn much, he says back, only it comes out, dude. He still won't meet my eyes. Courtney picks up Brian's hat, which has been resting on a small table. It's full of folded up pieces of paper. All the guys' names are already in it, including yours. Girls, pick. She and Heather walk away. As soon as they're out of earshot, I say to Brian, let's go. He doesn't respond, so I say it again. Let's get out of here. Let's climb out this window. I'm checking the one beside us, and there's a landing that leads to a supremely climbable tree. We could totally make it. Come on, I say. Brian. I don't want to go, okay? There's irritation in his voice. It's just a stupid game. Whatever. No big deal. I study him. Does he want to play? He does. He must. He wants to be with Courtney, because if it's fixed and Courtney's doing the fixing, that's what's going to happen. That's why he won't meet my eyes. The realization drains the blood out of me. But why did he tell me not to worry? Why did he grab my hand? Why everything? All the empty cages begin to rattle inside me. I stumble over to an ugly beige chair in the middle of this ugly beige room. I fall onto it, only to discover it's hard as stone and breaks my spine in two. I sit there, broken in half, chugging the rest of my beer like it's orange juice, remembering the English guy downing the gin that day. Then I grab another cup of beer that someone left downstairs. And drink what's in that one too. Purgatory, I think. If hell is downstairs and heaven is in the hallway, then this must be purgatory. What happens in purgatory again? I've seen paintings of it, but I can't remember. I feel supremely woozy. Am I drunk? The lights start flashing on and off. Courtney's at the switch, Heather by her side. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. Clementine reaches in first and chooses a guy named Dexter. Some tall kid I've never seen before, with a cool haircut and clothes 10 times too big for him. Everyone jeers and cheers and generally acts lame as they get up and walk into the closet with, we are so beyond this, looks on their faces. Courtney makes a display of setting the egg timer. All I can think about is how much I hate her, how much I want her to get stampeded by a herd of pissed off snapping turtles before she can get in that closet with Brian. I stand with the help of the armrest, then bushwhack through an impossible thicket of Jude's blonde hair to the bathroom, where I splash cold water all over my face. Beer sucks. I lift my head. It's still me in the mirror. It's still me in me, right? I'm not sure. And I'm certainly not hot. I can see that. I look like a skinny, pathetic coward, too afraid to jump off his dad's shoulder into the water. It's a sink or swim world, Noah. The second I walk back into the room, I'm assaulted by, you've been chosen, dude, and Heather picked you, and your turn, Picasso. I swallow. Brian's still studying those spines of books, his back to me as Heather takes my hand and leads me toward a closet. Her arm pulled tight, as if forcing an unwilling dog on a leash. What I notice right away about the walk-in closet is that there are tons of dark suits hanging everywhere, looking like rows of men at a funeral. Heather switches off the light, then says softly, shyly, help me find you, okay? I think about escaping into the hanging suits, joining the men in mourning until the egg timer goes off, but then Heather bumps into me and laughs. Her hand quickly finds my arm. Her touch is so light, like 2 leaves have fallen on me. We don't have to, she whispers. Then, do you want to? I can feel her breath on my face. Her hair smells like sad flowers. Okay, I say, but don't move a muscle. Time passes. It feels like lots and lots of it. Oh, sorry. Oh. Time passes. It feels like lots and lots of it. So much that when we walk out of the closet, it'll be time for us to go to college. Or die even. Except because I'm counting in my head, I know that not even 7 seconds of the 7 minutes have passed. I'm calculating how many seconds are in 7 minutes when I feel her small, cool hands leave my arms and land on my cheeks. Then I feel her lips brush across mine, once, then again, the second time staying there. It's like being kissed by a feather. No, smoother, a petal. So soft. Too soft. We're petal people, I think. I think about the earthquake kiss in the alcove, and I want to cry again. This time because I am sad and scared, and because my skin has never fit this badly before. Self-portrait. Boy in a blender. I realize my arms are lying limp at my side. I should do something with them, shouldn't I? I rest a hand on her waist, which totally feels like the wrong place for it, so I move it to her back, which also feels entirely wrong, but before I can reposition it, her lips open, so I open mine too. It's not disgusting. She doesn't taste like a rancid orange, but like mint, like she had a mint right before. I wonder what I taste like as her tongue slips into my mouth. It shocks me how wet it is, and warm, and tonguey. My tongue's going nowhere. I'm telling it to move and enter her mouth, but it won't listen to me. I figure it out. There's 420 seconds and 7 minutes. Maybe 20 seconds have passed, which means we still have 400 seconds left of this. And then it happens. Brian rises out of the darkness of my mind and takes my hand like he did in the movie theater and pulls me to him. I can smell his sweat, can hear his voice. Noah, he says, in that bone-melting way, and my hands are in Heather's hair, and I'm pressing my body against hers hard, drawing her closer to me, pushing my tongue deep inside her mouth. We must not hear the ding of the timer, because all of a sudden the light switches on, and the morning men are all around us, again, not to mention Courtney in the doorway, tapping an invisible watch on her wrist. Come on, lovebirds, time's up. I blink a few hundred times at the invasion of light, at the invasion of the truth. Heather looks dizzy, dreamy. Heather looks 100% like Heather. I've done a bad thing. To her, to me, to Brian, even if he doesn't care. It still feels that way. Maybe the girl downstairs turned me into a demon like her with that kiss. Wow, Heather whispers. No one's ever, wow, that was incredible. She can barely walk. I look down to make sure I don't have a tent in my pants as she takes my hand and we emerge from the closet like two unsteady cubs from a hibernation den. Everyone starts whistling and saying lame things like, bedrooms down the hall. I scan the room for Brian, expecting him to be examining spines of books still, but he's not. His face is like I've only seen it once before, all bricked up with fury, like he wants to hurl a meteorite at my head, but he's not going to miss. And he's not going to miss. But Heather runs off to join the Hornets. The whole room's been engulfed by Jude's hair. The whole universe has. I fall into a recliner. Nothing makes sense. It's just a stupid game, he said. No big deal. But then he said it was no big deal when his mother's boyfriend, came on to him too. And that seemed like it was a big deal to him. Maybe no big deal is code for, this is supernaturally screwed up. I'm sorry, I tell him in my mind. It was you, I tell him. I kissed you. I drop my head in my hands, start involuntarily eavesdropping on a group of guys behind me who must be having a contest to see how many times they can say how gay this or that is in one conversation when someone touches my shoulder. It's Heather. I nod at her, then try to hide my hair and mind control her to go away, like to the Amazon. I feel her stiffening beside me, probably not understanding why I've sent her 6,000 miles away to the jungle after a kiss like that. I hate being like this to her, but I don't know what else to do. When I peek up through my hair, moments later, I realize she's gone. I hadn't realized I'd been holding my breath. I'm mid-exhale when I see Brian being escorted into the closet. Not by Courtney, but my sister. My sister. How is this happening? This can't be happening. I blink and blink, but it's still happening. I look over at Courtney, who has her hand in Brian's hat. She's opening the folded piece of paper and wondering what went wrong. Jude is what went wrong. I can't believe she'd go this far. I have to do something. No, I shout, jumping from the chair. No. Only I don't do that. I run to the egg timer, grab it off the table, and ring it and ring it and ring it. Only I don't do that either. I don't do anything. I can't do anything. I've been eviscerated. Self-portrait, gutted fish. Brian and Jude are going to kiss each other. They're probably kissing each other right this second. Somehow I managed to get up from the chair, out of that room, down the stairs, and out of the door of that house. I stagger across the porch, feeling like I'm falling off my feet with every step. Blurs of people are blurring around the yard. I stumble through them, through the black backstabbing air toward the road. In my daze, I realize I'm scanning the crowd for the crazy, in-love-making guys from the alcove, but they're nowhere. I bet I imagined them. I bet they didn't exist. I look toward the woods, watch all the trees crash down. Group portrait. All the glass boys shatter. From behind me, I hear someone say with a slurring English accent say, "If it isn't the clandestine artist." I turn to see the naked English guy, except he's dressed in a leather jacket and jeans and boots. He has the same mental smile on his same mental face, the same eyes that don't match. I remember how Jude gave up the sun and stars and ocean for my drawing of him. I'm going to steal it back from her. I'm going to take everything from her. If she were drowning, I'd hold her head under. "I know you, mate," he says, teetering on his feet, pointing at me with a bottle of some kind of alcohol. "No, you don't," I say. "No one does." His eyes clear for a second. "You're right about that." We stare at each other for a moment without saying anything. I remember how he looked naked and don't even care because I'm dead. I'm going to move underground with the moles and breathe dirt. "What are you called anyway?" he asks. What am I called? What a strange question. Bubble, I think. I'm called freaking Bubble. "Picasso," I say. His eyebrows arch. "You taking the piss?" What does that mean? He slurs on, throwing words into the air all around us. Well, that must keep the bar nice and low. No problem filling those shoes. Like naming your kid Shakespeare. What were they thinking, your parents? He takes a swig. I pray to the forest of fallen trees that Brian looks out the window and sees me here with the naked English guy. Jude, too. You're like from a movie, I think, and say at the same time. He laughs and his face kaleidoscopes. A crap movie, then. Been sleeping in the park for weeks now, except for the night I slept behind bars, of course. Jail? He's an outlaw? He looks like one. Why, I ask. Drunk and disorderly, disturbing the peace. Who ever heard of getting arrested for being disorderly? I struggle to decipher his sloshed words. Are you orderly, Picasso? Is anyone? I shake my head and he nods. That's what I said. There's no peace to disturb. I kept telling the cop, no peace to disturb, man. Putting 2 cigarettes in his mouth, he lights one, the other, then sucks on them both. I've never seen anyone smoke 2 at once. Gray plumes of smoke come out of his nose and mouth at the same time. He hands me one of the cigarettes, which I take because what else am I going to do? Got myself chucked from that posh art school you don't go to. He puts a hand on my shoulder to steady himself. Doesn't matter. Would have gotten chucked anyway when they found out I wasn't really 18. I feel how wobbly he is and plant my feet into the ground. Then I remember the cigarette in my hand and bring it to my lips, only to suck it and immediately cough it out. He doesn't notice. He might be as drunk as one of those guys who talks to lampposts, and I'm the lamppost. I want to take the bottle from him and pour it out. I gotta go, I say, because I've started imagining Brian and Jude touching each other in the dark, all over. Can't stop imagining it. Right, he says, not looking at me. Right. Maybe you should go home, I say, Then remember about the park, about jail. He nods, despair stuck to every part of his face. I start walking off, ditching the cigarette first thing. After a few steps, I hear Picasso and turn. He points the bottle at me. I modeled a couple of times for this barking maniac of a sculptor called Guillermo Garcia. He has loads of students. I'm sure he wouldn't even notice if you showed some afternoon. You could actually be in a room with a model, like that other Picasso bloke. Where? I ask, and when he tells me, I repeat the address a few times in my head, so I'll remember. Not that I'll go because I'll be in prison myself for the murder of my twin sister. Jude planned this. I'm sure of it. I know it was her idea. She's been pissed at me for so long about Mom, about the Hornets, and she must have found the note she wrote to Mom buried in the garbage. This is her revenge. She probably had a piece of paper with Brian's name on it right in her hand. Without any of the Hornets realizing it, she triggered a nest attack on me. I walked down the hill toward home, getting carpet bombed with images of Brian and Jude, him all tangled up in her hair, in her light, in her normal. That's what he wants. That's why he erected the fence between us. Then electrified it for double protection against me. Stupid weirdo me. I think how full on I kissed Heather. Oh God, is Brian kissing Jude like that? Is she him? A horrible flailing monster of a noise comes out of me, and then the whole disgusting night wants to come out of me too. I run to the side of the road and throw up each grain of beer and that disgusting drag of a cigarette. Every last, lying, revolting kiss until I'm just a bag of clattering bones. When I get home, I see there are lights on in the living room, so I climb through my window, always open a crack, in case Brian decided to break and enter one night, like I'd imagined before falling asleep, all summer long. I cringe at myself, at what I wanted. Landscape, the collapsed world. I turn on the lamp in my bedroom and beeline for Dad's camera, but it's not where I always leave it under my bed. I tear the room apart with my eyes, exhaling only when I spot it on my desk, sitting there like a live grenade. Who moved it? Who freaking moved it? Did I leave it there? Maybe I did. I don't know. I lunge for it and call up the photos. The first one that comes up is the last year when Grandma died. A big, round, laughing sand lady with her arms open to the sky like she's about to lift off. It's freaking amazing. I put my finger on the delete button and press hard, press murderously. I call the rest up, each one more awesome and strange and cool than the next, and wipe them out, one by one, until every trace of my sister's talent is gone from the world, and only mine is left. Then, after I sneak by the living room, Mom and Dad have fallen asleep in front of some war movie. I go into Jude's room, take the portrait of the naked English guy off the wall, rip it into shreds, and spread it like confetti all over the floor. Next, I return to my room and start on the drawings of Brian. It takes forever to tear them all to pieces. There are so many. When I'm done, I stuff his remains into 3 large plastic bags and stow them under the bed. Tomorrow, I'm going to throw him, every last bit of him, over Devil's Drop, because he can't swim. Even after all that, Jude's still not home. It's an hour past our summer curfew now. I can only imagine. I have to stop imagining. I have to stop holding this rock and praying he's going to come to the window. He doesn't. Okay, so that was the end of Noah's perspective as a 13-year-old. And the next chapter is Jude at age 16. And so we kind of see some connections. We know that the English guy and Jude's English guy seems to be the same person, and that Noah ran into him too. We also see that in Noah's chapters, he's lost and drunk, but in Jude's chapters, he's working for Guillermo Garcia. And we don't know his name yet, but we also see that the guy suggested Noah go to Guillermo Garcia. So maybe that's foreshadowing something for the future. So that's where we're going to stop. And in the next part, we'll try to get through half of Jude's part at age 16.